You ever wake up expecting nothing more than a quiet, ordinary day, and before your coffee's even cooled, you find out your neighbor gifted your private lake to her teenage son and called the cops on you? No exaggeration. That happened to me. I'm Dave Morgan, and this is the story of how I ended up going toe-to-toe with the most outrageously entitled HOA Karen I've ever encountered, and how I came to realize that the whole time I was holding the real power. That morning started like any other. Clear blue sky, fresh cup of coffee in my hand, and the peaceful sound of birdsong drifting through the air. I stepped out onto my porch, ready to take in the calm, and then froze. Down by the edge of my private 2-acre lake stood a brand new wooden sign, glossy, polished, the kind of thing you'd see at a public park, and etched into it in bold lettering were the words, Morgan Memorial Lake, a gift from HOA President Jenna Roberts to Jesse Roberts. Just below that, in smaller type, dedicated for our community children. At first, I thought it had to be a joke, maybe a prank, but then I heard laughing. I looked over and saw Jesse, Jenna's teenage son, camped out by the water, live streaming like he'd just inherited the Great Lakes. He was grinning like the cat that caught the canary, shouting into his phone, "Yo, guys, welcome to Jesse's Lake. Thanks to my mom, I basically run this place now. Pool party this weekend, who's coming?" I could feel my blood pressure rise. That lake wasn't just a body of water. It was a place I fished on crisp mornings, sat by with a fire crackling at night, and watched seasons pass in silence. It was peace, mine, and now, apparently, it was being turned into the backdrop of a teen rager. I walked down to the water, calm but not smiling, and told Jesse to take the sign down and the live stream and leave. I reminded him that it was private land. He barely looked up, waved a dismissive hand like I was some harmless mosquito, and said, "My mom's the HOA president, dude." She did the paperwork. HOA rules. Community needs. This is for everyone now. That cocky teenage confidence, the kind built on someone else's authority, almost made me laugh. Almost. I asked him again, sharper this time, "Your mom did what?" That's when she arrived. Jenna Roberts, marching in with her blowout perfect hair and tailored blazer like she was walking into a press conference. She gave me a syrupy smile that masked poison, the kind of smile that pretends to care right before it stabs you in the back. "Howdy," she said, in a tone so sweet it curdled. Then she explained that the HOA board had held a vote and decided the lake was now designated for community use. Something about children, about sharing resources. I kept my voice flat. "Jenna, this is private property. You can't just give it away." And then she made her move, the ultimate HOA Karen power play. Her eyes narrowed, and she pulled out her phone. Right there in front of me, she dialed 911, put on speaker, and in her best terrified voice said, "Yes, I need to report a dangerous man threatening children at the lake behind the Morgan property on Elm Street. I'm terrified. Please hurry." It was like watching someone audition for a crime drama. 10 minutes later, a squad car pulled up. Officer Ramirez stepped out. Stoic, calm, the kind of guy who's seen enough real emergencies to spot fake ones a mile away. Jenna went right into her performance, voice shaking, hand clutching her pearls like she'd survived a war. I stood quiet, waited my turn, then handed over 2 things, my ID and the deed to the land. Officer Ramirez read it, glanced up at the ridiculous sign, then looked back at her. "Ma'am, unless you have HOA authority that overrides this deed, and I doubt you do, you need to take that sign down. Immediately." Jenna started to sputter, her performance cracking. Ramirez stayed polite, but there was no room left for negotiation. Posting signage on private property and filing false police reports come with consequences. She yanked Jesse away from the lake. Her expression curdled into pure venom. "This isn't over," she hissed. And it wasn't. The next week, I got hit with HOA notices, one after another, each envelope like a slap. The first was for a $400 fine, overgrown native oak near the water. The second, excessive nocturnal wildlife noise disturbing the peace, $250. And the third, mosquito risk due to standing water, $750. $1,400 in bogus fines, all with Jenna's signature at the bottom. 7-day deadline stamped in red. It felt like something out of Black Mirror, HOA edition. I briefly considered selling and moving somewhere that didn't have HOAs breathing down your neck. But this wasn't just a property. It was my sanctuary, built from years of sweat, planning, and heart. No way I was letting her run me off. Then, out of nowhere, came an email from Carol Evans, the HOA bookkeeper. 8 years on the job. In the message, her guilt practically bled through the screen. "David," she wrote, "I can't sleep. Jenna is pushing through a $30,000 lake remediation plan. No bids, no invoices. And next week, she's planning a $50,000 project. All the payments go to Roberts Environmental Services, her family's company." My heart sank. Carol said Jenna threatened her, told her she'd be in trouble if she asked too many questions. That's when I saw the real scheme: embezzlement. HOA funds being quietly funneled into her own family's pockets. I messaged Carol and asked to meet. She showed up at my cabin the next morning, visibly rattled but determined. She brought files. Dozens. $18K for lake cleanup. $12K for safety consulting. $10K for emergency landscaping. All signed by Jenna. And the new $50K proposal, also for my lake. I pulled out the original HOA charter, dug through the details with Carol, and there it was, in plain ink, a clause from the HOA's founding. Any expenditure over $5,000 required approval from a budget manager, a role meant to prevent exactly this kind of abuse. And back in 2020, I'd been elected to that position before Jenna even moved into the neighborhood. That Monday night, an emergency HOA meeting was called. Jenna strutted in like a tech CEO announcing a merger. She had a PowerPoint loaded with dramatic lake photos, buzzwords like ecological risk, and a final slide labeled Emergency Lake Remediation Proposal $50,000. She asked for a vote. Hands started to rise. The room buzzed with agreement. Then Carol stood up. She walked to the laptop, tapped a few keys, and hit transfer. The projector blinked, then displayed. Transaction denied. Account frozen. ***. Jenna's face froze in disbelief. A speaker crackled to life. The bank's representative, voice sharp and cool. "The HOA account has been frozen by the budget manager for investigative review." I stood up, held up the original incorporation docs. That's me, elected 2020. I have full authority to audit all HOA spending. Silence fell like a curtain. Then I dropped the receipts. Every shady dollar Jenna had pushed through. $5,000 to Jesse for being the so-called youth liaison. $18K to her husband's fake landscaping company. $14K to her sister's catering service. And the newest $110,000 to a freshly registered shell company. *** Green Elm Community Fund, ***. Founded just 4 days earlier. She tried to spin it. Claimed it was all charitable. I held up the business registry. Founded 4 days ago. No employees. No oversight. The neighbors murmured. One woman asked, "So we paid for a kid's pool parties?" Another muttered, "That explains why I got fined for bird feeders." Then Nina, one of the oldest residents, stood up, calm, steady. I motioned we remove Jenna as HOA president and send all of this to the district attorney. The vote was unanimous. Jenna was out, just like that. She stormed out, dragging Jesse behind her. His face was flushed red with shame. "Mom, I didn't know," he said, barely audible. Later that night, she tried one more time. Called the cops. Claimed I'd hacked HOA records. Officer Ramirez came back. I handed him the documents. The official charter. Transcripts. Carol stood beside me, unwavering, testifying to Jenna's threats and the truth behind every dollar. That was the beginning of the end. Charges were filed. Fraud, coercion, embezzlement. When the officers told her she'd be arrested if she didn't surrender, she broke down, cried. Jesse stood stone still, arms folded, looking anywhere but at her. Weeks later, over Zoom, I watched Jenna plead guilty. She got 18 months probation, was ordered to repay $65,000, and banned for life from ever holding any HOA position again. Jesse sold his motorcycle, moved in with his dad, started volunteering around the neighborhood, tried to make things right. Carol is now our CFO. We've completely restructured the HOA, created transparent audits. No more secrets, no more shadow deals. And every month, we host a casual lakeside coffee morning with the neighbors. The lake's still mine, but now when someone asks to borrow a kayak, I just smile and say, ask me. Respect over entitlement. That's how we do things now. So yeah, we got justice. We rebuilt the community. But I still wonder, how many people are out there dealing with their own HOA tyrants? Has some power-hungry neighbor ever tried to bulldoze your peace? Did you fight back or walk away? Wherever you're reading from, Canada, the U.S., Australia, I want to hear your story. If this one lit a fire in you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to know. The little guy doesn't always lose.